Hey, welcome back to Let's Talk podcast, where we cut the small talk and have conversations of substance. I'm your host, Evergreen, and today our very special guest goes by the name of Gold Soul Rebel, and our topic for today is the importance of unlearning and getting beneath conscious surface. So, how you feeling, Gold Soul Rebel?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Thanks for asking, man. How you
Yes,
feel?
thank you for being a guest on this show.
Thanks for having me. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for having me for sure. I'm excited to, talk with you.
Likewise. So, before we get started, unpack your name for me. What is the meaning of Gold Soul Rebel? Or what
Yeah,
made you choose that as an artist name?
yeah. I got that from this group called the Underachievers, a rap group from New York and stuff like that. I was heavy into them at the time. I still listen to them. You know what I'm saying? But it's a song called "Gold Soul Theory." You know what I'm saying? And it's just a song about like finding yourself and your soul being golden, which is like obviously a sign like a value, you know what I'm saying? And finding that treasure within yourself. So I just felt like it was a relatable concept, you know what I'm saying? To me it hit home real, like it really hit home. So I was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got it from that song though by the Underachievers. Go so thick.
Okay, cool. Yeah, when I seen it, it reminded me of Bob Marley's song Soul Rebel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Hell
I
yeah.
was like, okay, this is a cool name.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna get started with our topic. So
hmm
the first part of the topic is the importance of unlearning. So my question
hmm
to you would be, why do you feel like it is important to unlearn?
Um, I think it's important because, especially just speaking from a personal experience, what I'm saying, I on the spiritual journey, what I'm saying, per se, I started out before I even started on the spiritual journey. I came from a very Christian background, what I'm saying, and that was something that was instilled in me from like from childhood, and getting into other stuff, new information and just different concepts that, so-called contradict, religious stuff and especially Christian stuff, what I'm saying? It was completely new, what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, it's a hardcore belief, what I'm saying? And a hardcore belief is a program, what I'm saying? Essentially, which is like a deep-seated subconscious belief, to not, more or less. And to give you an example, you know what I'm saying? You know how they say like the brain is kind of like a computer, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if you got clutter, you know what I'm saying? If your computer is cluttered and you don't have that much space for memory, you know what I'm saying? You got to delete stuff, you got to get rid of stuff, you got to empty stuff, you know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing you got to do with your mind, you know what I'm saying? When you gathering new information and new concepts, you know what I'm saying? I have talks with my friends a lot about people can gain new information but have the same frame of mind when gaining it, you know what I'm saying? So for example, like a lot of people might they might ditch religion or ditch Christianity just like I did, you know what I'm saying? But they replace they haven't replaced the frame of mind that they think with, you know what I'm saying? Even though they replaced religion for, like, for example, the universe or Buddha or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And that's not a knock to anybody because all that stuff is valid. But it's like if you haven't changed if you haven't even broken down why you need to change the way you think, you know what I'm saying, about all these things and your understanding of all these things, and even when you switch to a different thing, um, it's essentially gonna do the same stuff for you. You know what I'm saying? So a
Yeah.
lot of people replace Jesus with the universe or with ancestors or with something else that they basically like they still worshiping something outside of themselves, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially. And it's like that's what I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you haven't done the proper things or steps or work to, reprocess the way you think about certain things and concepts, in the world, then you essentially are gonna it's not gonna be able to affect you the way it should, basically. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that. And so growing up with like Christian influence, did you feel any like restrictions at all? within you, like your religion, that made you wanna? Because I know you said like you were learning new stuff. Like, did
Hmm.
you feel? Did you just want to learn more about it because you were curious, or did you want to learn more about something else because you felt like any type of restrictions in Christianity?
It was probably both. At the time I was really, I give a lot of credit to the music I was listening to, because
Mm-hmm.
um like I said, I was just used to really growing up in church, and a lot of stuff I hadn't heard of until I was listening to certain music, like chakras and third eye and all of that. I had never heard of that until I was listening to certain people, like Absol, Joey Badass, Flatbush Zombies, just to name a few. And then I was like, man, like, and that's what made me curious, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, what is this stuff? You know what I'm saying? They talking so much about this and it sound cool, but I had no idea really what it meant, you know what I'm saying? So then that's what really made me curious. And then also just, yeah, being in church and just having certain things that pastors would say, and just even my family would do, and even myself would do, that would just be like, I don't really feel like this is right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels it feels like some this ain't everything. That's It ain't the whole piece to the puzzle, you know what I'm saying? It ain't the whole puzzle. I feel like this is a very small increment, you know what I'm saying? So I just had questions, and then listening to that music, it even furthered them questions more, you know what I'm saying? So eventually I started doing my own research and getting into stuff for myself, and that just led to a whole nother thing, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. So when you said, I noticed that you touched on like people might leave religion to, essentially worship something else.
mhm.
My question would be like, who or what do you worship now, if anything?
um I don't really worship anything. I feel like I work with all these things, you know what I'm saying? But essentially I feel like my understanding of things, or my outlook on things, is that everything is within you and everything starts from your mind. So even if I work with this God or that God, it's not a external thing, like I'm having to do certain things for them in a worshiping way, or where I'm submissive to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might do certain things in a ritual or in a habitual way to like honor that energy, but I'm understanding that it's an energy that's within me that I'm still evoking, essentially. Like, it doesn't exist unless I, you know what I'm saying, work
Give,
with it.
yeah,
So it's like having that understanding, then I use all these other things as a tool. So even if I work with the same things that other people work with, like astrology and tarot, or just whatever, it's like you have the understanding that none of this is really external. It's just a tool for you to work with, and be clear more in your mind of what you can do and what you need to do, per se. You know what I'm saying? So.
yeah. I like that you touched on that. I think that's really important when it comes to like having any sort of spiritual religious practice. I think it's very important what you touched on about knowing that these things are not external to you, knowing that
Hmm.
essentially it's you worshiping yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, so I like that you touched on that.
Hmm.
Um, so when do you feel like it's important to like unlearn? Like, what do you feel like they're like the signs are that makes you start leaning towards like, okay, I need to start unlearning some things.
Hmm. I mean, honestly, I feel like really at all times, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of, like, it's so much built up from, society and school and family, and, you know what I'm saying? And it's in your subconscious, and these things take time to dig out, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes it can get tricky to where you got most of it out, or feel like you've got most of it out, you know what I'm saying? It still might be things in there where you still need to pay attention to, you know what I'm saying? Not only that, it's other areas also that you might just, so say, like, for example, I got a good understanding of why I'm not in religion no more, but I don't have a full understanding of the concept of all these things being within me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's where a lot of people are at. Like, they are still externalizing a lot of things, just because that's the frame of mind they are brought to have with things like religion in school and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like just to try to go back to answer your question, I feel like at all times, you know what I'm saying? Because it's always work to do with learning something new, and it's always something to try to gain more understanding with, and I feel like if you just, for example, in my own life, you know what I'm saying, I feel like if I'm learning something new right now, so say for example I'm learning about love in or sex in a way that's higher than just lust and casual things, you know what I'm saying? Say I have a good understanding of that, but if I haven't changed the habits in my life that would align with that understanding, then it's like, what have I really done? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do I really even, you know what I'm saying? So, and it's like, I feel like it's a lot of that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not in that same exact regard, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Like, cause like I always say, like, knowledge is only power if you apply it. You know, like it's
Mm-hmm.
one thing to just learn something, but if you're not actually putting the action behind what you learn and actually, having practices behind that, then it's just
Mm-hmm.
all just like words.
Exactly. And I feel like it's easy to get caught up in that. And I feel like even me, you know what I'm saying, sometimes I done been caught up in that just because it feels good to feel like you know stuff and then to have a understanding stuff. And it's like you want to tell people, you know what I'm saying? You want to be like trying to put people on per se. And it's like, but you gotta, for one, people gotta learn stuff on their own and come to their own understanding on their own. But then two, like if you gotta make sure you doing it for yourself, you know what I'm saying? And that's the best example you can do for anybody else anyway. You know what I'm saying? Is, you know, make sure you're applying it in your own life. So I try to remind myself of that too, when I'm learning anything new or just doing anything, period. You know what I'm saying? Like just to make sure I'm actually being about it and not just feeling good because I feel like I know something now, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. And I also feel like it's also a thing where when we're curious about learning more, I do notice that there's this thing that people who are very eager to learn kind of get caught up in getting trapped in a way by
Mm-hmm.
like these quote unquote spiritual gurus because
Mm-hmm.
they're so like on a search for knowledge that they're just like taking in anything. Have you
Mm-hmm.
had any experience with that at all?
Yeah, that's a great point. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad you brought that up. You know what I'm saying? I feel like around like 2019, 2020, when the so-called pandemic and all of that was first going on, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I seen a lot of that on the internet, like especially with astrology, and then I got into other, so like tarot and just different stuff, and I thought I've seen a lot of people like talking more about that, you know what I'm saying? And at first I was like, you know, geeked up about it because I'm like, I was already kind of already on that, prior to this. So, but I was geeked because I'm like, oh shit, it's more people, blah, blah, blah. But then I started to realize though, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm seeing people even around me and that I know, you know what I'm saying? They talking about this stuff and they this person and that person, like they witches and that and this is no disrespect, but I'm seeing people talk about things as if they are really having understanding, or if they're that type of person when I know for a fact that they haven't really changed nothing in their life, you know what I'm saying, about the way they think, you know what I'm saying, because they really have the same habits and they really make the same exact choices that they made prior to this information, you know what I'm saying. So it's like that's a way I tested in my own life too, you know what I'm saying, not just to speak on other people, but I feel like if I'm learning something new, or if I'm you know, feel like I'm studying or whatever, like it has to be applied, you know what I'm saying? I have to be able to see where I can put it in my own life and get understand it for myself. Otherwise it's just information, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that because so my next question I guess would be to you is like how do you feel about that per se because I guess you can say it kind of like spirituality kind of became like another trend
mm-hmm.
like around 2020 it kind of became another trend
Mm-hmm.
so like I'm noticing like there's people who are actually doing the work and then there's people who
Mm-hmm.
look like they doing the work meaning like they got the just to name a few things that I guess people pair with spirituality is like they got the head wraps and they got the sages and the crystals and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff like they look the aesthetic part but they're not actually doing the work and then like there's people who are actually doing the work, but they're all kind of getting grouped in with like the same category because people really can't differentiate between, okay, I don't know if this person just looked the part or if they, you know what I'm saying, they really about what they talking.
Yeah. No, that's an excellent point. You know what I'm saying? Uh, that's something that really I feel like that's something they did on purpose. You know what I'm saying? The whoever you want to call them. You know, I don't elites, whatever, blah blah blah, whoever you want to call them. But I feel like that was part of a programming. You know what I'm saying? It's like you now you don't like the whole woke movement and all that shit. Even the word woke and that whole thing now, like it's like when you hear that now, it was supposed to signify conscious people who was actually gaining understanding and really was sincere about the stuff they was getting into. And now it's like people who it's whatever now, you know what I'm saying? And then I feel like that was on purpose, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Definitely feel like that was on purpose to get people grouped up and confuse people on, for one, what the truth is. Because people who are sincere and getting into it and don't really know no better, they might not know who exactly to follow or what's really real at first, you know what I'm saying? And they got to do a lot more, researching and digging. But now you got a bunch of people who are um insincere with the way they sharing their information, and it's clogging the people who really want to learn, you know what I'm saying? And it's up to the people, I guess, at this point who really do have that understanding of and can distinguish between who real and who ain't in that regard, to really I guess share the information if they feel so, inclined to, for the people that really want to know it. Because there's a lot of people out here who are just repeating stuff and getting on to stuff without really having the understanding, and they so quick to share it or feel like they want to know it or talk about it. But it's like, bro, it's a lot more than just what you speaking on, or just the understanding that you have right now at this point.
Yeah. What piece of advice would you have for someone who is quote unquote stuck in their ways, like unwilling to adapt
Hmm.
to, new ways of thinking, being, and doing? Because, I have like a lot of friends older than me. And so
Hmm.
a lot of them, I notice that they talk about, like, first of all, I think like the older generation versus like our generation are very different mentally as far as like the things that we think about and just like, multiple other things. But I find a
Hmm.
lot of my older friends are like, oh, I can't change or I can't do that because I'm this old and I'm already like
Hmm.
too far along. You know what I'm saying? So like what piece of advice would you have for someone who is stuck in their ways?
Mm. That's a good question. I mean, I feel like this is something I tell my brother all the time. He not old, but this was something I would tell anybody though, is to always question things, especially if you never have questioned them before. Question everything, and even when you have, question everything. That's how I started even being receptive to anything new. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of questions, just questions on questions about stuff that I thought was normal and stuff that was supposed to be real, like school, and church. I had all the questions about these things that were supposed to be so concrete, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like once you start raising these questions within yourself, then you become receptive to new things. And then once you can start doing genuine research or study or whatever you want to call it. And once you get onto this new information, it's easier to start digesting. It's still gonna take time, I would say. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it would all happen in a day, but you would definitely be more receptive, and it'd be easier to start digesting these things. You know what I'm saying? And creating new habits. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I would say too, is just creating new habits. So questioning things, raising questions about what you really feel is normal, and then creating these new habits. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for example, you know what I'm saying, tried to stick to reading books. You know what I'm saying, and reading certain type of books that I really felt would help me. You know what I'm saying, and that's a habit that I built up and eventually was able to stick to, that I didn't have before. Because from school, I hated reading, you know what I'm saying? And even after school, I was still like that for a while, you know what I'm saying? But then I found the benefit in what it did for me, and that's a new habit I created. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say, yeah, like being receptive and being open to a different way than what you're so used to. You know what I'm saying? And then doing proper, I guess, putting yourself onto different concepts and information. The internet is here for that. You know what I'm saying? Even though there's a lot of misinformation too, there's a lot of good information if you're able to, understand the difference. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So what are some of your like daily mental practices that you do?
I would say in the morning, I do my best to stay off social media for a certain amount of time, especially like first thing waking up at least. You know what I'm saying? I try to stay off it for a hot second, at least like an hour or something, and just because I used to have a real bad habit of just waking up and hopping on the first thing in the morning, hopping on Twitter or hopping on whatever, and just reading a bunch of stuff, which I felt like was just not really good. So um, that's one thing I do, you know what I'm saying? And I also like to use music in certain playlists. I have a morning playlist, you know what I'm saying, that I don't listen to every morning, but I listen to most mornings, just to get me in a certain vibe, a certain mindset, you know what I'm saying, a certain energy, I guess you could say. So just certain habits like that would and I'll usually read too, or even not, even if it ain't from my books, I got notes and stuff that I usually at least read a few pages from too, you know what I'm saying, just to keep stuff fresh in my mind, you know what I'm saying, because it's easy to get distracted with, oh, I gotta work today, or I'm hungry, or I need to do this or that. So yeah, I just try to do at least one or multiple of those things a day to keep me in line with how I feel I'm supposed to be. So
Okay. Yeah. And then I would like to get to the second half of the topic, which is getting beneath conscious surface. So when you
hmm
say getting beneath conscious surface, do you mean like the super conscious? Because there's like the subconscious conscious and the super conscious. Is that what you were hinting towards?
yeah, I'm really just hinting at the subconscious, I guess, like the deepest, part of you. I guess it's a lot of terms for that, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Super conscious. I have heard that too. So I wouldn't say I'm not saying that either. But I guess what I was saying in my mind, it was just, the subconscious. Um, but yeah, I feel like there's a way, because they say um you're led 95% from like your subconscious and like 5% from the conscious mind or something like that.
Right.
So it's like, and to me, I feel like that's how a lot of things have benefited me in the I was about to say the subconscious journey, the spiritual journey. Um, just being able to get this so-called new information into my subconscious and or so-called into my heart. You know what I'm saying? There's a quote by this guy named Brother Panic. Yeah, he said like the subconscious is connected to your heart. And you know what I'm saying? And it's like you want to gain this new information or this new knowledge for that purpose to get this in your subconscious or your, aka your heart, you know what I'm saying? And to not use it just for your conscious mind or just your intellect or your ego, which is like what a lot of new age spiritual so-called gurus do. And that's the main problem with that, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's not even so much the information that they sharing, is it's the attitude in which they are sharing it that can have to make it misleading, you know what I'm saying? And make
Mhm.
people not only that, the habits that they do following that misleading to people, you know what I'm saying? So
So like how do you ensure that you get things to your heart? Like what steps do you take to make sure like if you're intaking certain information,
hmm
how do you make sure it doesn't just stop at your conscious mind? Like how do you ensure that it goes like deeper than that?
that's a great question. So say I'm learning about like Gnosticism, which I am right now, you saying, when I first got onto it, you know what I'm saying, it was something that definitely intrigued me, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, I need to build these certain habits, like such as reading books and listening to certain things. I listen to podcasts, YouTube lectures, just anything I can pretty much hear or read and listen to about it, you know what I'm saying, from different sources too, to really help me gain an understanding. So I feel like just yeah. So when I'm learning it, I'll build habits. You know what I'm saying? I'll take notes. I feel like note taking is a great thing that has helped me this whole time. You know what I'm saying? It's really probably one of the main things that's helped me because I'm able to when I write it. I feel like that's a good way to repeat it in my mind, you know what I'm saying? And then not only that, I can go back and reference it, in a whole nother day or a whole nother week, month, year from now, if I really need to, you know what I'm saying? And often I do. This is what I do often, you know what I'm saying? So um it helps me to keep refreshed, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that I do to keep it to have it go past my conscious mind or my intellect is to keep it refreshed and keep repeating it and keep digging it into my subconscious mind just by way of refreshing it and keep putting myself onto this information, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I read different books. I might read different books about the same topic or get different sources of information from different people about the same topic just because I really want to gain this understanding and not just gain the feeling about it, you know what I'm saying, if that makes sense. Um
Yeah.
so I feel like yeah, just repetition, you know what I'm saying? That's a good one just to name something concrete, repetition, building them habits to really enforce whatever it is you feel like you're putting yourself on to, you know what I'm saying? And really, like I said before, just keeping that inquisitiveness about it, about that and everything else too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always another level to um, even one topic, let alone a bunch of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah.
And you said that you were currently learning about what?
Gnosticism. It's spelled like Gnost.
Oh, okay, okay. And
Yeah.
what about it intrigues you? Like, what made you want to start tapping into that information?
Um, I'm trying. I don't remember exactly where or who exactly put me on, but I got some books on it. You know what I'm saying? And really, what intrigues me about it is the language and the concept that it has, you know what I'm saying? So the concept of narcissism or gnosis is that um so your spiritual journey is authentic through your own experience, you know what I'm saying? So you gain knowledge and you gain spiritual wisdom through your own experiences versus it being handed down to you through your family or through a pastor or through this person or that person or this or that thing, you know what I'm saying? So you not that you don't listen to anybody or don't take in any information, but you don't take anybody else's experience to be your own, if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? So that was a concept that they emphasize a lot in narcissism. You know what I'm saying? And that's really it in a nutshell. It's a lot more detailed than that, but that's like one of the main concepts. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that really um, just I felt that really aligned with where I'm at. In my journey. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, we like to like I said, just how we were talking about before, externalize things and give certain things a certain power outside of us, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's because of what we believe or just due to comfortability or blaming or emotion or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's like narcissism is something that's like opposed to that, you know what I'm saying? And in narcissism, you take responsibility for everything in your experience because you are essentially the creator of it, you know what I'm saying? And also what I like about it is that it it doesn't separate you from God. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that narcissism breaks down, it's a whole mythology behind narcissism, but just to try to sum it up a little bit is that you, so the story goes like this. There's an original God that's the creator, you know what I'm saying? Um, but he did not create this world. His wife or his counterpart, Sophia, created a being that created this world, you know what I'm saying? But and created physical beings and the whole material world, even nature and all of that, blah blah blah. But we still have the sparks or the original creator within us, even in these physical bodies, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, just to try to sum it up, basically, you're not separate from God. You know what I'm saying? You are embodying God in this physical body, meaning that, you know, you don't put events on an external God in the sky or in, Africa or wherever. You know what I'm saying? You know that when you're talking, God is talking. You know what I'm saying? Not on in a cocky way, but in the understanding of your essence. You know what I'm saying? Basically, that you're not just this physical body. You have a deeper essence in you. You know what I'm saying? And if you can really get a sense of that and start identifying with that more than physical things, then you can really start to move in that world. You know what I'm saying?
Um, yeah, you touched on a lot of important. You made a lot of important points. Like, I'm happy you said, you mentioned about like Gnosticism is talking about, your spiritual journey is personal to you, because I like to
Mm-hmm.
have, like, I forgot who said it, but there's a quote that says like man is his own best authority, and it means pretty much like, you know you can take everything into consideration that other people, like as far as advice and stuff like that, experiences that people are giving you, but at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, like, you have to go and experience life yourself. You have to, what's best for you. You have to make your own decisions. And so,
Exactly.
how do you feel about like spiritual? I think like you kind of already answered it, but how do you feel about spirituality in general, or what does that really mean to you? Because that was just currently a topic that a lot of me and my friends was talking about, as far as,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of circling back to what we were talking about earlier, but as far as like spirituality kind of being something that is fed to you through media. And so
Mm-hmm.
some people kind of stray away from it because they're like, oh, well, spirituality is too hard. I don't want to do this. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to burn the sage, and I don't want to, put the eucalyptus
Mm-hmm.
in my shower. I don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
this, and this. And it's like, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what other people are doing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Spirituality has the word spirit in it for a reason. So I feel like, spirituality for you is your personal journey.
Yes.
So when you say like I like that you also touched on like, we are gods, because I always like to say that, and like
Mm-hmm.
people who, haven't reached that level of thinking always kind
Mm-hmm.
of do look at it as, oh, you're being cocky. How can you say that you're a god? Like, even with
Mm-hmm.
just like the Kanye thing, when he was saying he
Mm-hmm.
was a god and people were saying he was tripping, it's kind of like, when you look at yourself like that, because you really are that, we are spirits having a human
Mm-hmm.
experience, but at the end of the day, we are all the same piece of consciousness split up in different billion pieces in different
Mm-hmm.
bodies. And so when you say like, we're God, it's really true. Like, and when you start, like you said, operating from that level of consciousness, not only seeing it in yourself, but seeing it in every other
Mm-hmm.
person, because they are also God, like,
Mm-hmm.
then I feel like you do definitely start to move different.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Just what you were saying is a good example of the thing about unlearning versus new information. So when you were saying the thing about Kanye, saying he was God, it's like, and I'm not saying that he has this understanding, but somebody who would, like me or you, who would say the same thing, and somebody who was coming from a church background or who was still in the church, they would be like, how could you say that? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you don't have the same understanding of like what God means to me and what it means to you. It's two different things, even though it's the same word and it sounds the same. You know what I'm saying? That's why um when I say it, I can say it confidently, you know what I'm saying, and I have a different understanding of it. But this other person who's still in church or still has the same concept of God doesn't get it because they haven't unlearned, you know what I'm saying? They haven't did the proper subconscious reworking, they haven't got it out of their subconscious, that same concept. You know what I'm saying? So I would just wanted to draw that connection real quick.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I also feel like you said, like, it's also because, they are also seeing God outside of themselves. So like they see God as, and I find it also funny. It's just like, the whole Jesus argument and all that. Like, oh, Jesus
Hmm.
was black, Jesus was white. It's so interesting. Like God, Jesus, when people put those entities, I think it's funny when that we as humans have personified it, and I feel like we
Hmm.
personified it because like it's harder to relate to something you can't really see, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, like, when people are arguing about, whether God is a man or a woman or this and this, and it's really more so like, it's really just an omnipotent energy, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can't really take something so
Yeah.
extraordinary and like put it in such a small box as being, you know, like a human, or just like even trying to personify it into anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like that is also the disconnect, is like they are seeing God as a person outside of themselves instead of seeing it as, you know, an entity or a piece or an energy or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so you touched on like, you know, we're the pretty much the creators of our lives and everything. So I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to know how you felt about, you know, the theory that when we came here, we chose like everything that was going to happen to us. We chose our parents. We chose,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the situations that are going to happen to us, whether it be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I believe I feel like that's true. You know what I'm saying? I definitely feel like that's true. You know what I'm saying? When you born, you know what I'm saying, you got a subconscious, you know what I'm saying, and I feel like that same essence, you know what I'm saying, that you're born with, that's what really they mean or can be an example of in the world, in the physical world, of you already, like, so you know how they say a lot of stuff like it's synchronized, you know what I'm saying? You meet certain people when you become a certain way. Like, you know, like say you become vegan, or you know, you start listening to certain music, you start listening to people or finding friends that do the same thing, you know what I'm saying? And it's like yeah, I feel like that's part of maybe what they mean, or what you could say as an example of that, you know what I'm saying? But basically, yeah, I do believe that's true, you know what I'm saying? I believe that you chose to come down here, and that we all here for learning, for a lesson, you know what I'm saying? In these physical bodies, this is just a uniform that we gonna take off when we get home. The same way you know, you go to work and you got a uniform, certain clothes that you wear, and then when you get home you take all that shit off, and you be who you really want to be, you know what I'm saying? And that
Yeah.
you where you really want to, where you really at, you know, you at home. So I feel like that's what this world is. This is like the physical world, even down to like space and all of that. This is like at least, and especially as far as us in our life, you know what I'm saying, this is work, or this is school, you know what I'm saying, and this is a temporary place, you know what I'm saying, and we chose to come down here for to learn how to understand what we really is, you know what I'm saying, and get a real understanding of what we really not, you know what I'm saying, to really get out of that ego and become, you know, really one with that universal mind, the real essence of who he is, you know what I'm saying, not just this temporary physical. And so I
Right.
feel like, yeah, that's what they mean by that, and that's what I also believe and resonate with as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like that's something that had like over the years that has gotten me to like I don't think I've ever been bitter about life, but you know, like when you're young and however, whenever something happens, you know, you immediately or instinctually have like feel how, like you feel some type of way about it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's something that has made me be feel like less of a type of way about anything that happens in life, is knowing that you chose to come here. Any type of hardship, whether it be like trauma that you endured in your childhood or anything that has happened to you, you chose it, you know, essentially. Like you picked everything that was
Mm-hmm.
going to happen to you, and it's all literally like you said, for school. It's for elevation purposes. It's for us to learn.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was gonna say, yeah, I agree. I feel the same exact way. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's it has done the same for me. You know what I'm saying? And I read certain books, even different by different authors and different people that kind of be saying the same type of things. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, it really helps you deal with the day to day certain things, and it's still hard, you know, because it's so easy to complain and be like, you know, caught up in emotions and stuff like that. But when you have that type of understanding, you know, it's easy to be fall back on that and be like, man, you know, this shit is temporary, and this is not even really who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like the essence of who I am is not even here for real. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this shit is, it's not really nothing. You know, that's why people, you know, when people ask me how I'm doing, or you know what I'm saying, I always say I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm, even if I feel like I'm broke or whatever, like it don't matter. I'm straight, you know what I'm saying? Because this shit ain't shit, you know what I'm saying? Like it's it comes and goes, you know what I'm saying? So basically is, even, you know, as good as it feels or as bad as it might feel, depending on what it is, like it's all temporary. And if you know that and really understand that, it's way easier to, deal with these situations. You know what I'm saying?
For
So,
sure, for
yeah.
sure. And then like you had touched on the subconscious when you were touching on the subconscious mind. I meant to ask you, or I just meant to input that like you had said something about repetition, and I feel like that's very important because even just going back to like your subconscious mind really being your heart, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like when people you know how manifesting is like a trend as well, not really a trend, but like everyone's talking about manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the biggest part about manifesting that a lot of people, when I hear people saying like, oh, doing manifesting exercises or things are is a scam, I feel like the biggest thing that they're missing is what you said, which is like the manifesting and the subconscious mind go hand in hand
Mm-hmm.
because you can't manifest on like a conscious level. Like everything that you want or like that you're looking to call in or whatever has to be felt in your heart slash your subconscious. You know what I'm saying? So even when like have you ever heard of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Mm-hmm.
So even like in that book when they talk about like people who, even if you want to be rich, right? Say you grew up broke and like around in your family, you've only seen your parents struggle. You've only heard your parents say things like, yeah, you're always going to be broke or you're never going to be rich, or, just like telling your
Mm-hmm.
things, telling yourself things that really don't resonate with what you want to do. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if you can want all you want to be something, but if your subconscious mind is programmed a certain type of way, then you're always going to be attracting what's in your subconscious essentially. Yeah, and so to continue on with like the subconscious, I wanted to ask like, do you have dreams?
Yeah, yeah. I know one thing I'm trying to get better at is recalling them. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, I feel like when I was younger, I used to have them a lot more, but now I'm a lot be smoking and shit. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
sometimes I don't always be having them, but lately I have been able to get them more, and I have been actually learning the importance more of dreams and recalling them and how they that they are the subconscious mind and blah blah blah. Like, but yeah, I don't dream every time or I don't remember them every night, but I'm definitely trying to do that more, and I'm working on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know.
I can definitely say that smoking is definitely the reason why people don't remember their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to happen to me. Like I used to. It's not even just the fact that you smoke; it's the fact that you're smoking before bed. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that's the reason why you're not like recalling your dreams. And so once I stopped like smoking before bed, I have dreams. Like I have a blast in the dream world. The dream world is like
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very fun for me, and it's also very interesting because my next question was to you was going to be, do you feel like your dreams like speak to you or tell you anything? Because my dreams for sure foreshadow a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
which in the past, like when I first started tapping into it, it was kind of scary to me because I would literally dream some shit and it would happen like a week or two later. And
Mm-hmm.
the weirdest thing about it is like it don't just be about me. Like I can dream something about somebody else
Mm-hmm.
and it will happen for them, or I can like dream some information that somebody didn't tell me and then like they'll come out and say it, you know what I'm saying, like stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So do you feel like the dreams that you do recall, do you feel like they tell you anything?
Definitely, no, definitely. I feel like dreams are a symbol of your reality in a way. You know what I'm saying? It might not be in like a direct way because a lot of times people like, oh, I seen a whale, and you know what I'm saying, and this and that in my dream, and they might dismiss it as like, just some fantasy stuff. But it's like, nah, bro, all these things have meaning. You know what I'm saying? Because they came from your senses, from your touch, your taste, your vision, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Especially probably on a repetitive level. So in it to the point where it became in your subconscious mind. So now when you sleep, and as a lot of people know, when you sleep, you in that state where you're basically in your subconscious mind. So I feel like dreams are a visual, like a screenplay of the subconscious mind, and whatever is happening in these dreams, these specific things are like symbols and or messages to or something you can use to learn more about your reality and yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, whenever I do or can recall them, I try to think about that. So, whatever might happen in a dream, I might be like, man, like, what did that symbolize or what did that mean? I try to, reflect and relate it to something, in my life that, really happened. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Dreams are definitely a good way to like tap into, like you say, your subconscious mind, because that's really where the truth lies.
Yeah.
Do you tap into like any type of plant medicine at all?
I fuck with shrooms for sure. You know what I'm saying? I used to, when I was in college, I kind of was fucking with acid more. I know that's not really like a plant medicine, but as far as like psychedelic, that's what I first got into before I even did shrooms was acid. In college, and that shit was. I had some crazy experiences on that. You know what I'm saying? That really helped me in my spiritual journey a lot too. It gave me a lot of confirmation and personal experience and clarity of my own life. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
remember not to get up too off topic, but I remember I tripped with this girl. You know what I'm saying, when I was in college, and I was after it was pretty much, after he was coming down or whatever. You know what I'm saying. I was walking her outside and stuff, and we ended up talking for like 4 more hours. You know what I'm saying? Just because all this stuff was just hitting me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just having them crazy experiences like that. That was but yeah, I did acid, I did shrooms. I had some crazy experiences on shrooms. I haven't did anything else besides DMT. I haven't really had no crazy experience on DMT though. You know how people be saying it's like real intense for, a little second. I never really got the effects. I don't know why, but mm,
Okay,
mm.
yeah. I also did like acid before I was doing shrooms, and like I feel like acid is much more, it's like shrooms and Adderall put together. And so it's like much more intense. And
Yeah.
so, like you said, it's not a plant medicine, but I feel like it does, have the same psychedelic effects, and it definitely will teach you a lot. But I did
Hmm.
start to like fuck with shrooms more just because it's more on the natural side, and
Yeah,
it's much more mellow as well. And so, yeah, I've definitely had some great experiences like you. It definitely has helped and aided me on my spiritual journey as well.
for sure. No, I for sure. I feel like, yeah, not to get like too vulgar or nothing, but I had sex on shrooms. You know what I'm saying? Not I'm not even trying to like big it up or nothing like that, but the way that the whole trip went, like, cause that wasn't even planned. Like, I tripped with my homegirl, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying, that wasn't even part of the plans. Like, we was just like, cool, we finna smoke weed, trip, blah blah blah, you know what I'm saying? But d- even more than that, it was just, I'm gonna give you, all right, I'm gonna lay out a little bit of detail without getting too like, vulgar or nothing. It's not nothing crazy, but so it was a point in the trip, you know what I'm saying, which I think lasted about 4 hours, where I was like deep in my mind, you know what I'm saying, and I was like having a mental, like, I won't say a mental breakdown because it wasn't like I was feeling bad, but I was having a lot of recurring memories about, like my mom and just traumatic things. Like, a lot of things were coming back, you know what I'm saying? And she was there like comforting me, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it was like a display of energies, you know what I'm saying? Like, because she was almost like in a motherly role, you know what I'm saying? Not that she was my mom or no weird shit like that, you know what I'm saying? But like, just the nurturing energy, the feminine nurturing energy, you know what I'm saying? And then it kind of like switched. So she started having that, you know what I'm saying? And then, I started comforting her, not in a man, in the way that a man would, not no freaky shit, just literally comforting her though, like she's crying and she's going through her shit, you know what I'm saying? And then we had sex after that. But even the sex, you know what I'm saying, was like symbolic of something else, you know what I'm saying? Because it didn't even really feel like, oh yeah, we about to do this and we ripping off clothes, and you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even like that, you know what I'm saying? It's just like kind of happened, not to even sound corny, you know what I'm saying? But it kind of just did, you know what I'm saying? And we both knew it was like meant something more though. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't just like, oh yeah, we just doing this because we feeling each other and we feeling the moment and we on this. You know what I'm saying? Like of course it did, like that's part of it, but I really honestly genuinely feel like it was more than that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like she would agree. And even afterwards, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie, like I um I got on my knees with her and I like worship her, you know what I'm saying? Not even on no weird shit, you know what I'm saying? But like just cause the way I meant it or felt it was like I'm thanking you for and I'm recognizing the energy that you possess and that the essence that you are, you know what I'm saying? And I'm honoring that, you know what I'm saying? Not that I feel like you my God now and then I'm finna start following you. That's not finna happen. But I'm saying I recognize what happened in this moment and that it signifies something more than just yeah, I just got some coochie, you know what I'm saying? Like so I feel like, you know, just to sum all of that up, that's the type of experience that shrooms gave me because I honestly before that I had not experienced even sex in that type of way, you know what I'm saying? Even being in love with a woman and stuff like that, that gave it a whole nother symbolic thing, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully that some wasn't too long winded, but yeah. Mm.
Nah, yeah, I feel that. I feel that. And I actually like that just because, like, I feel like the good thing about shrooms, and I always say this, and just like psychedelics in general, is like, we take, well, not we, but people do what they do as far as like having their vices, and they take other substances to, like, either numb themselves or distract themselves
Mm-hmm.
from whatever it is that they're feeling. But with psychedelics, they're going to either the things that you have been putting on a back burner, they're going to bring it to the forefront of your mind, but they're also going to reveal the true essence of like everything. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, even just what you described is like having sex on shrooms really sounds to me like how you described it was just like it had nothing at all to do with lust and everything to do with just like the genuine exchange of energy, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's like, that's what sex really should be. It really shouldn't be about all the whole, oh, I'm just about to go fuck, I'm just about to go get
Yeah.
my nut, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like it really should be like that. And that's one thing that I appreciate about just like the psychedelic realm is like it really shows you, like I said, the genuine essence of what things are when you like
Mm-hmm.
take your human mind away from things, because that's really what it is. Like when you're on psychedelics, like your, I guess you can say, like your conscious really, like, you, that shit is just on the back burner, and
Man.
and that's why it's so easy for you to take in good, like have good downloads and everything. That's why I love to trip. Like I don't do it often just because like I do value um you know the medicine and I don't want to abuse it, but
Yeah.
I really do fuck with psychedelics.
No, I agree. I'm right with you on that. You know what I'm saying? Because it definitely has led me to some a lot of growth. You know what I'm saying? Like even acid. You know what I'm saying? I remember the first time I did acid, I had a very. It was at one point where I was coming down, kind of, or maybe it wasn't when I come down. It might have been when I first had took it, but it was anyway. It was a point where I was like sitting down on the couch because at the time I was in a house full of people. You know what I'm saying? And I was just sitting there and I'm observing the people, you know what I'm saying? And some in me was just like everything that I'm looking at and everything even that is outside of this house right now, the way it is exactly how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like something in me just told me that. And something in me, like what I was observing just in the room and just the message I was getting was just like, yeah, bro, like all of this is exactly how it should be. Cause if it wasn't, it would be a different way. You know what I'm saying? So
Facts.
that really gave me a sense of acceptance, you know what I'm saying, of a lot of things. And I'm just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? And that trip gave me a lot of messages, but that was just one of the moments where I was just like, damn, like, you know, you start having certain realizations and it's just like, man, like, okay, I get it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
it definitely helps us look at things more objectively and step outside of ourselves on how we want things to be, and like just shows us like what things actually are, which I could really appreciate.
yeah.
Do you feel like do you prefer to trip with or without people?
Um, I feel like more times than not I've been with people, you know what I'm saying? Um, but I'm not against tripping by myself. Like I did shrooms and acid I feel like by myself. But I feel like I've definitely done it more with people, you know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah. I I guess I would like I have done acid and shrooms with friends. Like, it's always a good time, but I feel like by yourself it's much more introspective and you're able to use it more as a tool.
Yeah.
And so that's what I really fuck with, because like I'm someone who actually likes doing the work and like,
Hmm.
unpacking things or whatever. And so like I do appreciate tripping by myself. I do notice though, like, like I said, it shows us the essence, the true essence of things. So like I
Hmm.
did notice like in the past when I did trip with some friends, like I would be seeing some crazy shit about them. Like, and it would make me feel some type of way, like,
Yeah, yeah.
damn, like, you can see people's demons, you can see a lot of things. And so
It's
it's like,
crazy.
yeah, and it kind of alters your trip, and like, and then like afterwards you're like, dang, I don't know how to feel about this person now after, so I be trying to avoid tripping with some people sometimes, like, and like I kind of get people's energy, like even before the trip, like if i
Yeah.
if i want to trip with them or not. But that's something that I did notice, is that like other people, I am able to see a whole lot of things, maybe some things that I don't want to see about people, so I try to make sure I only trip with certain people.
Yeah, no, that's fact. That's a good point too. Like I'm the same way. Like I don't just trip with anybody, you know what I'm saying? And in the times that, because I get what you're saying about like a lot of times with people it can just be like entertainment, you know what I'm saying, versus an introspective experience, you know what I'm saying? But it's even times where you made a good point about seeing people energy and demons. It can make you uncomfortable, you know what I'm saying? But it also lets you know who really around you, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Facts.
I remember I was tripping one time with my homie, you know what I'm saying? And he was talking about some real ass shit. He was talking about like some real personal shit, you know what I'm saying? And just really some shit that I have never heard him say before, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, damn, bro, like this nigga, like he just, being real, he pouring it out, you know what I'm saying? He started crying and shit. And then I'm like, damn, nigga, like, you finna make me start crying, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't even like some super like, oh, lovey dovey, like give me a hug type shit. It ain't no weird shit. It was just like, bro, like a nigga is keeping it real. You can tell he was diving into some deep shit with himself, you know what I'm saying? And and he talking to me as a close friend about it, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, son, like this shit is crazy, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just one experience I feel like where it's like, man, you can, depending on who you with, because he one of them type of people that is kind of on this level too, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think I would have been able to have a heart to heart with anybody who wasn't on that type of stuff. But just to go back to what you were saying, um, yeah, I do feel like a lot of the most impactful or the most introspective trips have been, solo trips, you know what I'm saying? Because it ain't about what we finna do. It's about you in your mind, you know what I'm saying, and you observing and you feeling and you seeing, you know what I'm saying, even if it's just internally, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel like they definitely help. A lot of trips have definitely helped me grow in that way, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, facts. And I do feel like what you were saying as far as like your friend getting deep and everything. I do feel like the people that I have trip with, our relationship is definitely different now. Like as far as like I understand you on a deeper level. Like we went through that trip
Hmm.
together, you know what I'm saying? And so I do appreciate the friends that I have trip with, because it's one of those, like, you just had to be there. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? If you wasn't there, bro, if you wasn't on the same frequency as us at that point, then
facts.
you just not really, like, I can tell you what happened, but you're not really
You,
gonna understand.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
what everybody say about trips too. That's one thing I know is like that's something real about this or something spiritual about it. Cause like everybody says that after they trip, they be like, whoever they like trying to explain it to friends that wasn't there, it's like, bro, I could tell you, but you not you're not really gonna get it unless you was there doing it with me, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like so, and I think that's funny because I feel like it's the same kind of thing when you trying to, explain certain stuff to people who haven't experienced certain information or understanding certain things in their life, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's just funny in that way and interesting in that way, you know what I'm saying? Because it goes back down to experience and then, what that does for you, you know what I'm saying? And all of that. Yeah, man. So I definitely am grateful for things like shrooms and psychedelics. They have led me to a lot of confirmation and just personal realizations. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm able to move forward. You know what I'm saying? I remember after I had a trip with that girl, I had to go to school the next morning, like at 9 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And funny thing is, I was a little late coming in class, so of course I get in, everybody already sitting down. So mind you, the teacher ain't never said nothing to me this whole time we've been in class, like every day until now. So I'm coming in like I'm like probably like 10, 15 minutes late. He like, yeah, so Malik, what you think about whatever I just said, you know what I'm saying? Whatever question he or whatever he was talking about. And I was like, I ain't gonna lie, bro, I can't even do it right now, bro. Like, you don't even know what I just went through last night, bro. Like I was like, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, I'm sorry, but I can't answer it. Like, I'm sorry. And I just sat down. I was like, bro, my mind was in a whole different place. I don't know if you experienced that like the day after, a
Yeah, I
trip.
definitely have to like that's why when I do my trips, like I have to plan accordingly. Like I have to not be doing anything that day, but also I have to have a free day the next day because you
Yeah,
receive a lot of downloads and you
yeah,
just want to be able to like integrate it. But outside of that is like, I'm coming back to earth. Like I need a second, you know what I'm saying? So
facts,
I definitely agree with that.
facts. No, that's a great point too. Yeah, you definitely need that time to really reflect, internalize everything that really happened and what it meant. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, and that
yeah, so,
circles back to like just like what we were talking about earlier is like, you can go on a trip and you can have fun or you can go on a trip and a lot of things can be revealed for like to you, but if you don't
hmm,
take that time to like reflect on it and integrate it, then you just went on a trip. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
you're not really doing anything with that information.
exactly. Yeah, and that's why like just for me, like how you were saying, like I try to use it. Like I love tripping, you know what I'm saying, but I try to use it with respect and intention because I know not only the intensity but the value is going to bring, you know what I'm saying, during and afterwards, you know what I'm saying. So it's like it's times where I'll be like, man, I need a reset, or when I feel like my shit is getting too clouded or just, shit been whatever. It's like, all right, a trip would definitely help me gain a sense of clarity or gain, a sense of growth in this way or that way, you know what I'm saying? So I'll be like, man, that's the times I really be wanting to plan to use it and actually get some and, shit like that versus just, oh, I'm about to, go on a trip and just, you know, touch a tree or some shit like that. Like, that's cool too, you know what I'm saying? But it's about what that really means and what's going on in my mind, and how I can draw the significance from that, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, facts. And just to add to that, like, so I'm currently rereading this book by Ram Dass called The Only Dance There Is. It's a really good book.
mm-hmm,
But in the book, like he has a guru named Maharaji, and like
mm.
Ram, are you familiar with Ram Dass at all?
Slightly, yeah. I feel like is that a blue book?
So no, so I know which book. That's the Be Here Now book, and
Okay,
Ram
yeah,
Dass,
yeah.
yeah,
I
he's
read
the
that book.
author. Yeah, he's the author. So he has a lot of other books, but The Only Dance There Is a different book, and he's just it's pretty much honestly like he didn't write it. Everything in it is what he said, but he passed. So like people
Mm-hmm,
had took all of his recordings because he was like a lecturer and everything, and they took all of
mm-hmm,
his recordings and like put it in a book.
mm,
And so it's a really good book. And so one of the stories that he was saying was like he was talking about him and his interaction with him and his guru named Maharaji, which like the shit be blowing my mind because he be just be I'm not gonna ruin it for you. If you're interested you can read it, but
okay.
he pretty much is his guru. And he, Ram Dass was like this very big, he done had like probably 300 psychedelic trips type
Mm-hmm,
shit, right? And so he was really big on LSD. And so like his guru is one of the type to be like, oh, I know, like, I know you brought some acid with you. And even if he didn't tell him that he brought it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like he would just know stuff about him and
mm-hmm,
he never even told it. So he's like, give me the acid, like let me have some. And so he pretty much like gave him one tab and he was like, no, give me another one, and gave him another tab. And pretty much I think he said like he gave him equal up to like 1,200 micrograms of acid, and he watched him take it, and he watched it literally have like no effect on him.
Wow.
And yeah, and I thought that was very interesting because it just made me think about, like, like in the book he says, like, you watch me take this and it doesn't have an effect on me. Like, he was like, pretty much he was saying, like, yeah, this drug is cool, but acid is like, in any psychedelic, is like what you were talking about earlier when you were saying, like, we worship things external to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
because essentially, like, these substances that we take, we are taking them to reach a certain level of consciousness. What he
Mm-hmm.
was saying was like, acid is cool, but it gives you the visit of the saint. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, but you have to leave at some point. And the what he said to me that kind of really touched me was like, yeah, you can have the visit of the saint and you can come and visit and have the experience, but why not become the saint? You know what I'm saying? Or
Mm-hmm.
just like, why not
Mm-hmm.
become like Christ, like God, like? And I was like, that
Mm-hmm.
is very interesting. Like, I really like that.
No, that's an excellent point. That's a really great point. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's why you use them with intention to try to, have that realization. And another thing I think is interesting too is that the the type of intention that you're gonna have with psychedelics depends on the type of person are. You know what I'm saying? Which is also gonna determine the type of experiences that you're able to have or interpret. In these experiences in these trips. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like like for example, like if you um are a person who doesn't really like you still believe everything that you were told to believe pretty much and everything is just what it always has been versus somebody who is like really um trying to think for themselves and gain new things. You know what I'm saying? Like if you are already that type of person and then you trip you're more likely to have a trip that is deeper into that type of experience. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're that type of person who is not even looking for that or doesn't even consider that as a thing, then when you trip, you probably won't have it. Or even if you do, you're just gonna frame it as, what you thought of everything before. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it was just some weird shit, or it was just I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, my cousin. You know what I'm saying? Not to bust him out or nothing, but he not really that type of person that gets into this type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And he was doing shrooms and he was like, man, like, I don't know, man. I was seeing some weird shit. I was feeling weird. And maybe, maybe he was. Maybe it was just wasn't for him and it wasn't uncomfortable because that's a thing too. But I feel like, you know what I'm saying? It definitely has to do with the type of person you are. And that type of person you are is going to gauge the type of experiences you're able to have or understand on these psychedelics and shit, So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because, like you said, like, some people do, and I do hear that a lot. Like, some people just be like, oh, I took it and I was just feeling weird. It wasn't for me, blah blah blah. And like, I also hear about a lot of people talking about bad trips, and I always like to say, like, I don't think bad trips exist. I think
Mm-hmm.
a bad trip is really just resistance,
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said, psychedelics, what they're going to do is they're going to show you the truth. And a lot of people are not ready for that. And so if
Mm-hmm.
you resist the truth, the thing about, like, shrooms and acid is, if you take that shit, you go on trip, like, whether you want to or not. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, people be taking it and then be like, oh wait, this is too intense for me. I don't want to do this no more. And it's like,
yeah.
you can't do that. You've
Yeah.
already stepped into you already put your foot in the water. Like, you gonna have
Facts.
to. So I think, like, a bad trip is really just people resisting what they're shown, and they just essentially, like, there's nothing wrong with, not being ready yet, but I think it also comes with people having lack of knowledge of what this
Mm-hmm.
actually is. Like, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people like to present it as, a party drug. Like, let's do acid at a party, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's not really what it's about. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna have a bad trip for sure, because
For
a
sure.
lot is going to be happening. And so I do definitely agree with, like, your trip definitely determines who you are and what's going on inside of you.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great point you made, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like yeah, like I would never do acid at a party or just around just anybody or you know what I'm saying, the shrooms or just any of that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you gotta be intentional, you know what I'm saying? Because it's intense, you know what I'm saying? And it's things you're supposed to be gaining from this, you know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
yeah, so I try to definitely treat it with that. respect, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, yeah, a lot of times um it really helps you, like you were saying earlier about how it just kind of take your conscious mind and just like disregards it, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot sometimes I be feeling like after so long I be needing that, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Hmm.
man, I done spent so much time thinking and blah blah blah, like I need to hop on this trip real quick and just, snap back into that what's real, what's really, really real, you know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. Do you have anything else to add?
Um I guess lastly, just to end it with the whole point of, I guess most of what I was saying is just to question everything, think for yourself, always ask questions, you know what I'm saying, and always be open, even after you feel like you have a understanding or knowing, you know what I'm saying? And not that you shouldn't be confident in your journey and nothing like that, because you definitely should, but there's always deeper understanding, or a deeper sense of clarity, or just a different perspective that could be had or realized about things, a lot of the time. So I feel like that's the purpose of like that whole subconscious unlearning versus learning new information, and learning it for the genuineness of what it can do for you, and not just to say that you know it or call yourself this or that type of person, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel like that would just definitely end it with that.
Yeah,
And
I
yeah.
definitely agree with that as far as when you said learning it, but knowing that, you can go deeper because I feel like, like we said, a lot of people stop at a level of, oh, I know this, but it's like the
Hmm.
more you know, the more you know that you don't know anything at
Exactly.
all. You know what I'm saying? And so like the journey is like a lifetime thing. I feel like it's like, like you don't have to always be in that state of like, oh, I'm healing or I'm this and this, but it's like a lifetime thing that's like it's never ending. So
Hmm.
there's always something to learn, there's always something to unlearn, there's always something that to unpack. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely agree with that.
No, that's facts. That's facts. Super facts.
And so since we are at the end of our show, I have some closing cues for you.
Okay.
And so the first one is, what inspires you the most?
I would say understanding the truth. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, especially in my spiritual journey, I feel the most achieved, or the most sense of growth, when I feel like I understand what's really real, and I made a real clarity, or difference between what was real and what wasn't, especially if I didn't know it before, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's what inspires me. But I mean, a lot of things, just like music, you know what I'm saying? Especially creatively, I listen to a lot of music, a whole lot, like a lot, especially a lot of underground or so-called alternative artists, even in rap, you know what I'm saying? So um but yeah, in my spiritual journey, I would say what inspires me is um really understanding, or feeling like I have that sense of clarity in my life, and being able to move in every other area from that sense, you know what I'm saying? And then just different things like certain books and certain concepts like mythology and symbology. These things are all tools that inspired me and helped me to um usher in these different concepts and really ingrain these things in my body. But yeah, other than that, like, shit, I like good music, you know what I'm saying? I think that's inspiring. Other people that create good art, and certain fashion, and I like art stuff. Like, I'm a tourist on the astrology level or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I really believe I'm all the signs and all that, but my sun sign, just for this example, I'm a tourist, you know what I'm saying? So I really love music. I love art, you know what I'm saying? I got a couple little paintings in my crib right now. I got a record player, you know what I'm saying, and sound system and all of that, bookcase. So I like, that type of stuff. I like art a lot. That type of stuff really is inspiring for me and does a lot for me the most. But yeah, but
Okay, okay. And how do you recharge?
being alone, being alone,
Fact.
alone. Yeah, alone time is A1. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially like like for me, as an artist or whatever, when I'm in that mode and I have to go to shows or, do certain things, like be on social media and post certain shit, it's like, you know, after a while, it's like, all right, I'm ready to be at home or even just at a work level, you know what I'm saying? I get off of work and be like, all right, niggas trying to hit me up to hang out and shit. I'm like, yo, I'm good. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? I need time to not hear nobody's mouth right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't even want to hear shit from me. Like, I'm just finna turn some music on or do whatever I do for a hot second and vibe out and maybe later, you know what I'm saying? But for right now, like a long time is I need that, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
I,
yeah, I definitely feel like that's how I recharge for sure.
I can definitely second that for sure. And I feel like this next question goes along with just our topic for the day. What's
Mhm.
something you're currently unlearning?
Um, that's a good one. Something I'm unlearning is um seeking confirmation um from other people in certain regards. So like sometimes when I learn certain information or feel like I don't have a understanding, um sometimes I try to look to other people to validate what I say. You know what I'm saying? Or if they're saying the same thing, and if they are, then that validates what I thought. You know what I'm saying? And that's like that's not the best habit, you know what I'm saying? For me, I feel like that's not like I'm not saying it's not good to learn from other people or even ask questions from other people, but I feel like when I'm trying to gain validation sometimes or seek outside confirmation, even not even that, even if it's not necessarily from a person, just a thing, a situation, like um I just feel like, yeah, that's something I'm trying to unlearn and get out of me, you know what I'm saying, in every way possible. I mean, I feel like I have a decent understanding of it in certain areas, but I definitely feel like it's places where I can definitely be better with that, you know what I'm saying? And also just I would say confidence, you know what I'm saying? Just learning to really, I guess this goes along with that same thing, but just trusting myself, as much as possible, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to one to, I guess, shit, like I said earlier, just want to seek other validation from people and shit like that. But I feel like what has always been most powerful is when I trust myself and when I gain a sense of knowing for myself, you know what I'm saying? So just um burning out every habit that has to do with, you know, externalizing situations or things, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, if that hopefully that made some sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And that's a good thing to unlearn, I feel like. What's something you think is underrated?
Um, what's something that's I think imagination is underrated, and I think mythology is underrated. I think because a lot of people dismiss imagination and mythology as like fake things, you know what I'm saying, or just like a movie type of thing, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
it's like, and even I used to like think like that too, you know what I'm saying? But as I got on to certain information, certain books and certain people like Joseph Campbell, just to name them, like I started realizing what it can do and what it actually means, for the individual person who has an understanding of it, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of even, you know, spiritual, the little spiritual gurus and the new age people, you know what I'm saying? They take a lot of things literal and they focus a lot of things on the physical and what you need to do and how you need to behave versus how you need to think and what you need to understand, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like mythology is a good way to invoke or interact with your imagination to make um certain things more real, more bring more clarity to you. You know what I'm saying? So um, it's an example that this guy named A. Rashid gave in this video I was watching, where he was saying that, and I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, if I'm explaining to you um how to drive a car, you know what I'm saying, but we're not in a car, we're just talking, in a building or wherever we at, you know what I'm saying, and I'm giving you a visual, um and I'm giving you a visual, the way I'm saying it is giving you a visual experience, as to what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. And then once you actually get in the car, then it's that much easier, you know what I'm saying, to learn how to drive it, you know what I'm saying, versus not having that prior, what would you call that, I guess, experience or convo with me, you know what I'm saying, because what that did for your imagination, you know what I'm saying. Because I like to think about, a lot of times when somebody like your homie or your homegirl or whatever is telling the story, and I know for me at least, a lot of time when somebody's telling a story, like one of my friends, I can picture certain things in my mind, especially if they talking about somebody I know. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I feel like mythology and imagination can do the same type of thing, for you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why it's important also not to take these certain things literal, like a lot of African mythology, a lot of things they did that we hear about in Africa. The gods that they had, they we think they meant all this stuff as a literal physical thing, but really it's just a mythological, a symbolic thing to represent an energy and make it more uh clear or personal to you, so you can interact with it and invoke it more, in yourself, you know what I'm saying. So I feel like that's the point of that in the first place, you know what I'm saying. So just to go back to what you were saying, I feel like, yeah, that imagination is definitely underrated, you know what I'm saying, in mythology, because they give you your own experiences, and that's where all this is coming from anyway. And they get a bad rap for what they really are, you know what I'm saying. So yeah.
And my last question for you would be, what are you most thankful for?
What am I most thankful for? Being able to receive in information with a genuine heart. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, I'm also thankful for, my family, my brother, you know what I'm saying? Like, my baby brother, that's my dog, you know what I'm saying? I'm thankful for him. I'm thankful for all my family, my other brothers, you know what I'm saying? I'm thankful for my friends around me, it's all that good physical stuff, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff that most people would be thankful for. But most of all, that's what I'm thankful for, is the willingness to receive stuff in the name of truth, you know what I'm saying? Not to just try to big myself up and all of that, like I'm some super righteous guy, but I definitely like think that's the best quality I have about myself, you know what I'm saying? That's something that I value a lot. So yeah, hopefully I
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you definitely answered that good. That's got something good to be thankful for. So thank you for being a guest on my show. I really enjoyed talking to you.
And thanks for having me. I enjoyed it as well. It was definitely good convo. You know what I'm saying? I definitely appreciate you letting me speak. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Let everybody know what you got going on and where they can find you so they can tap in with you.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. I am a musical artist. You know what I'm saying? My artist name is Go Soul Rebel, GXLDSOULREBEL. So all my socials are the same. My Instagram the same, Twitter the same, Tumblr the same, um, YouTube the same. Uh, so yeah, that's what I be on a lot of time. I got a project coming out probably towards the end of this month called Hypnosis. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be pretty dope, is what I like to think. I like to think I'm a pretty decent man at rapping. You know what I'm saying? I'm confident, but I don't be on no crazy bragging shit. But my shit is gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying, for sure. So if you interested in rap music, and especially artists who are more talk about alternative stuff, I guess, what I'm saying, then that might be something for you, what I'm saying? So, and then if not, if you just want to holler at your boy, what I'm saying, that's cool too. So yeah, but yeah, that's where you can find me and all that. Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, yeah, Facebook.
Yeah, the real ones be on Tumblr if y'all ain't know.
That's a fact. Yeah,
The real ones really be on Tumblr.
fact,
But yes, thank you guys for listening. And as always, stay tuned for the next one.
facts.